used an illegal drug when they were young want to have a very productive life. This applies especially to marijuana use. Many people answering that description are now members of our government. George Bush, Bill Clinton, Al Gore. Every time you go to apply for a job, it's over your head like this big ugly cloud. The employer looks at that record and says, druggie, we don't want you. We don't want you. As a matter of fact, the only place these people are wanted is right back in the drug culture, the very group you say we're trying to save them from. I would also suggest that had those politicians I named been arrested for the use of illicit drugs, they would have never become attorneys, much less the President of the United States and other high office holders. This bill will stop the labeling of our children as criminals because they make the mistake of experimenting with marijuana while young. Another unintended consequence, is very important, of this war is that violent crimes are no longer being addressed as they should. You know, a Globe editorial in March 2006 pointed out that the police only solved 10 of the 290 non-fatal gunshot cases in Boston that year. 10. And what about the dismal arrest record of only 23% of the 75 murders that year? In the year 1950, police in the United States solved 90% of the murders. But last year, with more police per capita, better education, better training, and better technology, they solved less than 50% of the murders in the United States. Now, why is that? The law enforcers at LEAP believe it is because we commit so much staff time and money of our police agencies to tracking down, arresting, prosecuting, and imprisoning non-violent drug offenders, marijuana offenders, that we no longer have resources to protect the public from child molesters, violent predators, and drunk drivers. This bill doesn't legalize and regulate drugs, but it does replace the criminal arrest with a civil fine for people possessing a small amount of marijuana.
Chairman, Ms. Laws, Ryan Chair Steve Epstein, we have provided you with written testimony. I will not read my written testimony verbatim. I would invite you, as soon as you get it, to open up to page 14. That's the book. Open up to page 14. You'll see a table. Looks like this. These are the results of public policy questions around the state since the year 2000. On average, 63% of voters favor making possession of marijuana a civil offense. Also, the front cover is this map of the votes for both decriminalization and for medical use. And then about 4,500 to maybe 8,500 people a year get handcuffed and the process starts by arrest. That is arbitrary. And unfortunately, the arbitrariness is inflated by racial discrimination, youth discrimination, because it is the black child or the black adult or the Hispanic adult who ends up being the one handcuffed. The white adult, it's rare. We include in our submission both Professor Myron's 2002 and 2003 reports for your edification. This committee did a great thing last year when it reported this bill out favorably, although we regret you increased the fine and did not add a provision that we would like to see added. And that is that, like with speeding tickets, the fine collected gets split between the municipality and the state. And I'll tell you why. Because that will encourage uniformity of enforcement. A town like Boxford, and I use Boxford as an example because its police chief in 2002 said that he's never arrested anybody for possessing marijuana. He just takes it and tells them to get out of there. But I know this, Boxford strictly enforces the rules of the road, particularly on Interstate 95, where they get half of the fine. And if you make a split of the fine between the municipality and the state, you will increase enforcement, you will increase revenue. Is it as good as excise taxing it, regulating it? No. But it will give you data that will show that 9% of Massachusetts residents who had reported that they used marijuana last month, think of the revenue potential there, because it's probably more like 18%. Because I haven't been to a party, and I'm well known in my community for my views on marijuana. I haven't been to a party in 8 years where it hasn't been offered to me by people that you probably would think should know better, but they're accountants, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're wealthy businessmen. So let's move on. We've been at this for 6 years, since 2001 when Charlie Shannon finally introduced it. Report it out favorably and strongly. Let Ways and Means, that has already heard some of these arguments, and in 2002 wanted to give defense attorneys and courts the ability to handle these things civilly under 277-70C. And I know that there is a lot going on, and there was a lot of momentum with sentencing reform, and I know Representative Brownsburg has been involved in that to some extent. I know Representative Wallace was quoted in the Quincy Ledger, or the Patriot Ledger, as not for at least having some moral strength. But this is not a moral issue. When you are dealing with a percentage of the population who is using a substance that is larger than any of your racial minorities, you are dealing with something that the genie is out of the bottle. Let's tax it, let's regulate it, but in the meantime, let's at least stop the handcuffs.
You're sitting there, you're watching this on the web, you probably got a joint or a bowl right next to you, and what we need is going to be 3 more hearings, 1 on Decrim and 2 on medical. We need you down here. Come and testify if you live in Massachusetts.
I'll take the train because parking is expensive.
Or you could stay at my house.